Hello people and welcome back to Talking Comics. Now, today I'm going to be talking about Predator Versus Judge Dredd. Now, this will be the first time I've talked about Judge Dredd in this series of videos. I've been wanting to do a character outside of Marvel and DC, so I decided I'll talk about this. And since crossover stuff's getting big again, like we're getting another DC versus Marvel soon, we're getting a lot of Godzilla crossovers, so I decided why not talk about this. This comic obviously focuses on satire space cop of the future, Judge Dredd, fighting the Yautja Predator from the Predator franchise. Now, this comic is definitely not super story focused. There's some story elements in there, and obviously you still have those moments of satire, with Judge Dredd being very much this fascist cop, but overall it is very action focused, but the action is really good. The art in this comic is really good and very much works for the world of Judge Dredd. There's a lot of big open shots of the city. It also kind of looks grungy, like it looks messy, but in a good way. At times it very much gives me vibes of the old TMNT comics. The actual action stuff also works really well with the art, and there's some very cool moments in there. Also, the Predator design is cool, and obviously takes inspiration from the films. Like I said, the story isn't super big in it, probably due to how long the comic is. It's only 3 issues, so it's not super big, it's quite short, but what they do with it works, and I very much like this idea of putting the Predator in Judge Dredd's world, because Predator does only attack things that have weapons normally, and obviously every judge in the city has a weapon, so it's going to hunt them down. It's basically Judge Dredd needing to hunt down this thing what is slowly killing off multiple judges. There is obviously references to the Predator films, there's some little fun details, and technically a character pops up. I won't go into detail about that, but it's very fun how they tackle it. They also very much go into that kind of thing about the first movie, how the soldiers in the first movie are a lot less patient and a lot more, it's hard to explain, but very much the Predator is a much more honourable and patient warrior, and they very much play with that aspect in this, because Judge Dredd's obviously not a really honourable character. Overall, Predator vs. Judge Dredd is a fun, action-packed, short comic. There's definitely times where I wish it was slightly longer so it could flesh out some aspects, but what it does with the time it has is very good. Now, if you're wanting to read this comic, you can get a trade paperback with Judge Dredd vs. Alien, what I'm going to be talking about next. Judge Dredd vs. Alien is definitely more fleshed out than Predator versus Judge Dredd. Now, it's not to say Predator versus Judge Dredd is bad in any way, it just is that Judge Dredd vs. Alien has a lot more issues, so it has a lot more time to develop certain aspects, and Dignity has a lot more time to show more action as it shows Judge Dredd try and hunt down a xenomorph. This comic follows Judge Dredd as he has to deal with a xenomorph as someone in the streets of City he got a face hugger on them and now a xenomorph is running about. Overall, this comic is very fun. It definitely gets more time to flesh out side characters, what I do think helps a bit more with the story department. There's a lot more story here than I'd say Predator versus Judge Dredd. But there's also a lot more action. The action in this is very fun, also at times quite violent. It also heavily deals with the fact that obviously the judges have never seen a xenomorph before, so they don't know about the acid blood and a bunch of the other stuff they'll have to deal with when encountering it. This comic very much has much more of a supporting cast. Dredd is obviously still the character we're following, but there's a lot more people in the story who get time to develop. With us very much learning how they think and act, it very much just adds more to the story, and they're not flat out cardboard people to just get killed. They're people with personalities that could be killed, but overall it just adds more to the story. The art in the comic is really nicely done, very different from Predator versus Judge Dredd, but still like very well done art. The colours are great. There's some really cool shots of the xenomorph. There's a very specific moment in the comic where I think is a really cool look and feels like something out of a movie. I'll probably have shown that by now on screen, or I'll be showing it now on screen. By the way, the art in this one is also good. Overall, I think both of these crossovers are equally really good. I do think the Alien crossover very much has a bit more of an advantage with story because it just has much more time to develop stuff. Speaking about Judge Dredd vs. Alien, it still has all your Judge Dredd stuff, very much the space satire on cops and editing, and just all the kind of fun parts of that universe. But yeah, both are equally really good. But yeah, like I said, Alien's crossover very much has more story to it, while the Predator crossover is very more action focused at times. Either way, both good. Like I said, there's a trade paperback collecting the both of them if you would want that, but I do believe you can get them separately if you really wanted to. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, you can like it, you can dislike it if you want. Either way, it's up to you. Obviously, if you want to look into a comic, there's probably a couple of trade paperback options, but the one I've read is Judge Dredd versus Alien versus Predator Incubus or something like that. Either way, if you're looking for more comic book related videos, you know to check out my channel. If you want, subscribe, do whatever. But yeah, like I said, thank you for watching. That's all, and goodbye.